Hello and welcome to Aha Moments. This one is entitled Depression and the Dopamine Effect, and it was originally sent out on October 30th of 2023. So, Aha Moments. I write something called Aha Moment Mondays that gets sent out by email. So if you receive the email and you're here for the elaborated conversation, welcome. I hope that this is something that you can really take to task with you. If you landed on YouTube, wonderful, happy to be connected at this point. Absolutely, please like if you want to share it. And of course, subscribe. We love when people subscribe, not only to YouTube, but to the email so that you get these Aha Moment Mondays every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, and some other really cool things. We do not over send out, and of course, needless to say, we don't share your address. We respect privacy. So it's all part of being in the family, right? So Aha Moments is a great conversation to have because there's, especially with these Aha Moment Mondays. And the reason I say that is that I often talk about everyday circumstances, everyday things that happen that you've probably seen, had happened, witnessed, whatever, but it may have just been the way it was at the time. It may not have been a little bit of a lesson, or it may not have been a time to shift perspective. And that's what the Aha Moments are about. Let's take a situation that we've experienced, and I'm always talking to myself first. I always have to lay that foundation that I'm always talking to myself first. So these are things that I'm experiencing, I'm learning, and then I share what that different perspective is. So my background as a marketer, but also 25 to 30 years of studying behavior in the mind and universal law, and that I bring a lot of these principles to these Aha Moments so that we can have those little awakenings and just do things in a little different way to move us forward. Okay. So I'm going to call up the Aha that was released. I'm going to read it. First, I have to find it, and then I have a few more things that I'm going to say about it. And I have to admit, I'm doing everything I can to be in a great mood, but I have to admit I am a little sad. So I'm going to share why that is with you and when I'm done. Anyway, depression and the dopamine buzz. Here we go. I saw this post on Facebook and my heart sank. Post went like this. Sadly, we don't always know the depths of someone's depression until it's too late. May I please have even one friend share? I'm trying to demonstrate that someone is listening. That was the post. I did not share the post on Facebook, but I'm sharing it with you along with my explanation as to why that and why my heart sank when I read it. I'll begin by saying I believe depression has a grip on more people now than ever before. I'll risk losing you in saying that when society's hammer came down in March of 2020, it locked people out of one another's lives, pushing us online. The steady diet of fear with side orders of guilt and shame contested our very being. You see, our brain requires recognition, and that recognition comes from others in the form of human energy. Society suggested we replace it with the dopamine effect we get from our phones. We replace listening to or recognizing the person in the room with the fix we get from our devices. And in general, we are being conditioned to not respond to challenging or threatening circumstances. The movies are a perfect example of this. Trauma, invasion, killing, overrule, and deception play out on the screen in front of us. And what do? We sit there. We do nothing. Remember that the mind's eye does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So the conditioning is to stand down and do nothing. Let someone else handle the challenge, just like they do in the movies. Can sharing a post replace listening? How do we balance between the widespread effect of that with the social click with true human experiences? Aha. Show up. I will share that I'm not a stranger to depression, and in my studies recognize that it often has nothing to do with sadness and everything to do with feeling of disconnect. And disconnect is at an all-time high. Just walk into a store, a restaurant, a business, an airport, a stadium, or even home, and nearly everyone is scrolling away on their phones. Yes, you can heighten awareness of a cause or concern by sharing a post to many. Or you could show kindness and validation by listening with your heart to one. Time is our most precious commodity. Where you choose to invest or spend it is a reflection of your values. of course, put on your own oxygen mask first, then offer recognition and validation to another. What are you waiting for? Go on now. So that was my aha. And I hope that you see that perspective, that I saw that post. I'm tired of the post, to tell you the truth. People think that by sharing a post that somehow they're showing that they're listening, and I'm not sure that is the case. I think listening comes from listening. So when I see those posts, sometimes I'll go back to the individual and I'll say, thank you for, for the awareness. And I appreciate what you're trying to do. I prefer to meet people in person. And what I mean meet, I'm not saying I need to be there physically in person, but on a one-on-one basis, or even if it's a group setting, if it's a family, to go a little out of my way, maybe a little unexpected, but to validate people. That is the point of this, is that we all crave recognition. We need recognition. It's not it is to a certain extent ego, but it is to our being as well. Now, we've talked about this before in other ahas, that sometimes, that we should be able to have that validation for ourselves. We should get to the point where we know who we are. And many people do at some point. The older you get, the wiser you get, the less you care about what anybody thinks, and the more that you do just kind of live your own life and be who you are. But we do have an energetic interchange with human beings, and part of that energetic interchange that gives us life, just like the sun and the earth does. It is a form of validation, and it is a form of recognition that we really enjoy amongst ourselves. So we can go into a room and we can know who we are, and we can be really comfy with that. And and I have to admit, I'm one of them. I don't need somebody else necessarily to tell me that I did something well or not well or whatever. I know what I bring to the table. I know what my heart is. At the same time, it is nice to have that exchange with one another. And people do appreciate when somebody comes in and lets them know they're special. So my sadness that I'll share is that I have been trying to get up to see someone who I hadn't seen in a little while, but a longtime friend. And I learned he was in the hospital, had moved from his home into more of a care home. And I didn't realize that his health had deteriorated. I mean, we're connected on Facebook. If nothing else, he was doing a lot of traveling. And so I was watching the travels, and I was watching his new, he got remarried in his 70s, and watching him, get his new cowboy hat and all kinds of things that he was experiencing. And then all of a sudden I learned that he's in the hospital, and I was pretty surprised. So anyway, I got his address, and I thought, okay, I was talking to another friend, and okay, we got to make the drive. We got to go up there. So we're doing this now. Obviously our lives are, aren't coordinating really well that we can get up. And last weekend, it was really gnawing at me. It was like, and I did have a couple events that I committed to. I had a couple things that I actually released myself from because I was a bit overwhelmed, but it was gnawing at me. It was like, I think I just need to drive up there. I'm not even going to try and call. I'm not going to try and make an appointment with them or anything, make a date. I think I'm just going to drive up there. And I'm not sure why didn't I think I just got consumed in all of the tasks on Sunday of trying to get myself caught up and ready for the week. But I had committed at that point that it was like, no, I definitely have to go. And then early Monday morning, I received a message that he had passed. And I was truly sad, not just to lose him, because he was just he just was a big spirited individual. When you talk about validation and recognition, he was at the top of and if you saw all of the comments now coming in that that this news was released, everyone is saying the same thing. He had a way of making everybody feel special. So that was one of his gifts. And I think he knew he was special, but he just treasured people, and it didn't matter who it was. He knew thousands of people. He was an industry icon, but he just was, and for those in the industry who know him, I'm talking about Fred Olsen. And so it was tough to lose him. I feel sad that being one who shows up and being one who does I took one of my friends out for dinner on Thursday night for her birthday, and she sent me a note back and she says, you just always have a way of making people feel special. So that's important to me. I want people to know they are special, every single one of us. And so not having made that effort, of course, like, you know, a lot of people feel a little guilty when that happens, but I knew it was gnawing at me. I just knew that I needed to get there, and was on Sunday in the middle of my task committing that, you know, I got to get there. I know I got to get there. And he didn't wait for me. So anyway, I'm grateful. I'm sad to miss him. I'm sad that I didn't get that last hug and laugh in there. I am grateful that he was my friend, and for many, many years. And he was, as I said, when you can see all of the comments coming in, he was many, many people's friends. He had a way, and I did not expect to be telling this story when I wrote this aha a while ago, knowing it was going to post today. Did not expect to be telling this story, but this man, Fred, absolutely epitomized what it was like to appreciate, validate, and recognize people. He did it with every single one he met, and it was really a special individual. So I'm happy to tie in a little bit of a tribute to him at the time of sharing this aha. And I hope that, you know, that you know what it feels like when somebody shows up in your life when you don't expect it. And you know, at the end of the aha, I was very clear about, you know, yes, put your own oxygen mask on first. I know over the years, because people are so important to me, and I don't do what I do for people for validation. I never have. I not from that perspective, just because I want people to know that they're special. And I want them to be celebrated, and especially on people's birthdays. I mean, I definitely go out of my way to make sure that they know that you know, that we you know, love the fact that that the earth was blessed with them at that time, and I want to celebrate that on a regular basis. So on an annual basis. So a lot of friends will get little special notes and stuff from me and follow-ups and that. And I enjoy doing that. And when I don't do it, you know, of course, only human, you know, you can only get around so fast, but it is important to me. And I know what it feels like when somebody does it back. So, so that is kind of important. But you know, I think I did it to a fault in many cases, that being an empath, and I remember years ago being at a psychologist's office and him saying, you don't know where your energy ends and when somebody else begins. I didn't realize that that's kind of normal, because our energy field is out there and it is expanding. The more we love, the greater that field is. I actually talk about that in 50 Simple Ways to Release the Shackles of Self-Sabotage, about how, you know, my friend Kathy Kaminsky, who's an energy intuit, actually measured that field. So our field, you know, expands and contracts based on who we are, but our energetic fields naturally collide. That's why some people like me, who are, you know, empaths and intuits, will do some protective shielding to make sure that they don't absorb. But I'm one of those people that if I'm not careful, and most of my life I wasn't, you know, I absorbed a lot of the hurt and pain that was going on in the world. So, and being the kind of person I am, you know, I wanted to just be that little bit of sunshine or love or something that would make them feel better. So that makes me feel good to be able to take what I have and expand it. So, but you know, you can do it to a fault too, right? My coach friend Paul Feeney always said, an overused strength becomes a weakness. So we know we need to put our own oxygen mask on first before we help others, right? Can't pour from an empty cup. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that aha. I hope that you subscribe, and I look forward to our next conversation. And of course, your comments back at any time. Thank you so much. And as always, succeed deliberately.